Well, I got saved when I was very young, so I don't really remember my life before Jesus.
Before Jesus, my life was very chaotic. I lost relationships with my family, my children. I was a drug addict, and I was very much struggling with mental illness, and I ended up in jail.
What I do remember is like in the early stages of my faith was definitely not my own. It was propped up by things like the church that I attended and my school and my friends, and its identity was kind of wrapped up in my parents' faith. And while all those things are great and can help foster, a relationship with Jesus, it still needs to be your relationship with Jesus, and it just wasn't that for me.
When I got out of jail, my son put a mountain in front of me to climb and gave me an option to either climb it or fall flat on my face.
My faith was so dependent and reliant on the environment in which I was being raised. If any of those things had been removed, I know that my faith would have faltered. But now my faith is only propped up by my relationship with Jesus, and it's really become my own.
And I chose to climb that mountain. And through climbing that mountain, I started finding God and started healing and started achieving goals that I never thought I would achieve with my mental illness. The closer I got to God, the more I wanted it. My family started coming back together, and then on July 5th, I accepted Christ.
Not to say after I got saved that everything was easy. In fact, this past year has been the most difficult and humbling year of my life. Had me tearing an ACL in my meniscus and just being physically tattered and shattered. It held an engagement to someone that I cared about very dearly being broken.
I gave up the alcohol, I gave up the premarital sex, I gave up the drugs. My mental illness started getting better. I am the healthiest I've ever been, and I feel like I can actually feel God and know what God wants me to do and know what direction I'm supposed to go in finally. And I had never had that before.
But little did I know, looking back, I can see just how faithful God was and in pursuing me and how intentional and personal He was. He was tearing down my knee and removing an idol from my life that was so detrimental. In that season of my life, I would spend 5 to 6 hours a day in the gym while my Bible probably was opened 5 to 6 minutes. He protected me from a relationship that was not honoring and glorifying to His name. He protected me by bringing some things that were hidden in the darkness into the light. And I'm so thankful that He did.
My daughter has moved home, and we are rebuilding our relationship. My relationship with my son is growing and changing, and even my youngest child, things are growing with her. I am finally able to be the mom that I've always wanted to be.
It's just so evident of how faithful and caring and intentional and personal He's been with me, and just in tearing all these things down that either the world or I myself put between me and Jesus.
When I found out that I could pick the person that I wanted to baptize me, that meant a lot to me as well. Adam and Sarah have been a huge part in my coming to Christ. Through their example, they are the family that fostered my son. God did that. God brought all of us together. God gave me a family that I didn't have.
So in recognition of all that God has brought me through and how faithful He's been in this last year and all the growth that has taken place in repentance of my pride and sin, I've decided through baptism to publicly declare my faith and identity in Jesus, as well as remember and honor His death, burial, and resurrection.